Exactly. Take one.
Yeah.
There's only one take, so this is good. Hey. We're back with Inside the Book Studio Sessions here at Radio Free Brooklyn. I'm with Mary Shelley, Jackson, Charlie, Sam, who you might recognize from the cover of this Bands to BK book.
They were real small.
Looking like
Right there.
Right off the end. Right off the end of Brooklyn.
I think I got a
lunatics.
crazy comb over in the front. I feel like it looks like my hairline stops halfway through my scalp.
I can tell you,
It does.
looking from here,
It does. It does, but I didn't want that to come across.
I
Yeah.
know. I did not fix it in post. I regret to inform you. So beyond being the cover boys on the Bands to BK book, I also manage Mary Shelley.
Yay.
As you all know. So if you're just watching this, if you don't know, I've reiterated this story to many a person, but basically I saw y'all perform at Berlin last summer. Because I'm an uncultured swine, did not know that Mary Shelley is the name of the author of Frankenstein. I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like a female folk singer. And y'all were the opposite of that. But yeah, and y'all just blew my mind. Like I see a lot of bands, I go to a ton of shows, and I just had this like instinctual feeling of I need to call dibs. Like I need to be involved in some capacity. And I had obviously never managed a band before. And I was like, I want to do this, and I bought a book on band management on the subway platform, waiting for the 6 to go home, and here we are. But I wanted to get your perspective on that. On a spectrum of flattered to we need a restraining order, how did you feel when I would say accosted, but approached you after that show?
I'll let you guys.
I was very flattered. But I mean, when we brought it to Charlie, we were like, yeah, this girl wants to manage us. Like, that's crazy. And she seems to know, like, every band here. So I guess she's around. And she has a blog. And then Charlie's reaction was, how much is she going to charge us?
You're like, here's the good news. She doesn't know what she's doing, so she's going to do it for free.
Well, the other good news is we've never been managed, so it's a beautiful combo, you know, because we had no expectations, and you've completely blown them up. It's amazing. Couldn't have asked for, I think, a better manager, honestly. Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
I was just doing this for the compliments. So that's good.
No, you totally legitimized us to Brooklyn people. Like for
100%.
so long, we were like, oh, I'm in Mary Shelley, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Like, oh, that female folk singer.
They were like, how do you know Sam? And I was like, oh, she's our manager, and they're like, oh, okay, like I'll check you guys out.
All I did was get you in front of people, and then everyone fell in love with you, as they should.
But you got us there. You got us.
And Sam just gave us like so much structure too, as far as just like actually like, you know, being on track, like booking shows super far in advance, not just like the month prior being like, hey, will anybody like let us gig in their basement? Like Sam actually like helped us with making schedules, with getting in contact with the right people, and she's like hugely helpful and influential.
The best.
Spreadsheets and enthusiasm, baby.
Yeah.
And harassing you all over group text until you
It's a
answer.
beautiful thing.
I actually brought you here so we can work out some things afterwards.
Let's do it right now. Let's do it.
Let's do it live.
Let's see.
Well, I actually did want to ask you guys because, I talked about at the beginning of the Bands to BK book, like kind of, I'm from Texas and I always wanted to be in New York. Like I always had this feeling like I had to be here. And y'all are from Oklahoma and Boston and Illinois. And did y'all also have that feeling where you just knew you wanted to be in Brooklyn, you wanted to be in New York?
So my brother went to school here before me, and my cousins lived here. So I came here as a kid. Wow. Yeah, well, I came here as a kid, and I was always scared of New York. And then right when I was applying to schools, my brother was like, sat me down. He was like, listen, check out New York. I think you're going to like it. And he was right. You know, the second I got here, it just like felt right somehow. So that's my end of it.
Yeah, I came here because I went to NYU with Charlie. That's where we met. And I was in the acting department. This is like the NYU. The classic NYU Hang 10. Yeah. We're the Violets. I don't know any other sports team whose mascot is a flower. But anyway. But that's where we met. And I think New York is just the best because no matter what you want to do, it has some of the best of it. Like whether that's like everything from computer engineering to rap music to rock to sculpting to like literally like or to finance. I don't know if you're
all you finance people out there.
some of those are areas we know more or less about. But I think just whatever you want to be the best at, I think New York has that for you. If you want.
Not biotech.
Whoa.
I visited here in 7th grade on one of those like really overpriced trips, and I was like, this place is pretty cool. But then I really just wanted to be an actor, and so I was like, New York or LA, New York or LA. I know more people in New York, and so I came here.
Thank God. And thank God you did.
And then after a year, I was like, why am I not in Brooklyn? Like, I am so, like, such a Brooklyn person. Look at these pants.
Look at these pants, ladies and gentlemen.
These are Brooklyn pants.
Straight cut. Straight cut.
Seen it.
Freaking 1980 parachute jeans.
Sam used to take extended weekend stays down in Brooklyn from Harlem. Like you would you would pack like a week's clothes at a time, and like,
That's a long distance.
Here and would do extended stays in Manhattan, so I think I just don't like being home.
Well, we'll say that kind of like leads into another question I wanted to ask y'all, because one of the themes again in the book is kind of talking about how so many creatives and so many artists seem to have like, you know, talents outside of just one medium, which by the way is really, really annoying. But you know, would you say that like your creative pursuits influence each other? Like does acting, like Charlie, you do film, like does that, you know, affect your performance on stage or your music? Does your music affect your acting and your film? Like how do those work together?
I think me and Sam have talked extensively about how like I think or other bands have come up to us, to all of us, and like with being like, oh, like we love how like much fun you guys have on stage and how comfortable you are. And I think that's luckily from like years of being able to act and stuff like that, and just being comfortable like trying weird things or putting on weird costumes and things like that. And Charlie's like visual eye has helped us so much in building like an image or building merchandise and a brand and stuff like that. And so you know, we're right up there with the Googles and the Apples. So,
right out there.
We're gonna be on the NASDAQ, whatever that is.
Public.
Yeah, go public. Show is going public.
Yeah, I mean, I just came back from seeing the David Bowie documentary Moon Age Daydream, so I was like literally talking to my friend who I saw that like David Bowie, like I love David Bowie. His songs like on their own are like kind of derivative of like past songs. Like they're not really that original, except
Yo, sheesh.
I mean, no, like, what I mean to say, like, to go like forward from that point is that he himself was like an artist and a writer and like a world traveler, and actor. It's like, yeah, and like so many different hats that like that's what makes him amazing. That's what makes his music so good. Like he's not the best singer, like he's got some vibrato there, but like it's like about like when you go see David Bowie, you're like, that's like an artist, an experience, like a show, like a whole world built around not just like somebody who's like really good at guitar, you know? Yeah. And so I think like to be like just a musician is to like sell yourself short a little bit.
So Sam, you're saying you're not multi-talented. That's ridiculous. You just wrote a goddamn book. You just wrote a book.
That and my managing.
Yeah.
Leads in because what again captivated me initially is your live performance, and you continue to outdo yourselves. Jackson, the amount of shit you climb on. I'm like, as your manager, I must advise against this, but it looks really cool. But yeah, I mean, your live show is so wonderful, and that's like how people fall in love with you. And you know, your songs are so unique and incredible. But just seeing those presented live, you know, we were at the Sultan Room last night. Major triumphant return after your album release party. But all the shows that you've played, I guess, together over the last year in Brooklyn, are there any particular moments that stand out where you like really like felt like this, this is it, like we're doing it, like we're in Brooklyn, we're performing, like that just felt like better than all the others, just felt particularly special?
I mean, definitely the album release show was the show that like 200 people were like singing the lyrics back to us, and I was like, oh my god, like that's like the dream, is not just people being like, oh, your music's cool, but like knowing it, listening to it, coming to see it live, and like knowing it, like singing it back to us. I was like, yeah, this feels like what we were after.
Yeah, I'd say also like two things, like One was definitely the Our Wicked Lady Battle of the Bands that we were in. Like, I think that's the first time where we really started to feel like more in the community of Brooklyn. Yeah. Mainly, like, you know, supported by Sam and getting us in there and, like, really like connecting us with all the different people we were participating with, and all the bands were incredible, and it was always packed every night. And I think we really felt like this was like a major stage. And then also just seeing people move at our shows. I think the more we play, like the more movement we get from the audience, whether that's dancing, whether that's moshing, whether that's just jumping up and down and stuff like that. And I think that's been like really thrilling to know that like a lot of the songs we've been coming up with more and more have like this kind of like fun movement to it. And I think that's something we're always, all three of us always agree on, is like something that's dynamic and not just like cool to listen to, like something that really kind of like gets in your bones. Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the best things about performing is like when you're in it, you're in it. You're thinking about nothing else in the world, which is such a good feeling. And even yesterday we were playing like there was one point where like I just started smiling while playing, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty sick. I like doing this.
That's funny. You bring up that Our Wicked Lady performance, which is literally when I was the night before my brother's wedding at the rehearsal dinner, streaming it under the table. And let me say, my parents were thrilled. But yeah, we are running out of daylight and we are running out of time. So thank you so much for being here. Speaking of live performance, you're going to play a few songs. So let's do that.
Sounds
yes,
good.
Mary Shelley, everyone. Woo!